A couple things about the beginning of the swing, which really is getting a hitter in the batter's box in the right position. Anybody who ever watched Phillies broadcasts in the 80s and through most of the 90s, you know that Richie Ashburn had two really good terms. One was, that guy looks runnerish, and the other one is, that guy looks hitterish. All right, and you probably, as an English teacher, I probably wouldn't find that word in too many of our dictionaries, but what we want to do first is we want to make sure that when a hitter gets in the batter's box, that he looks and feels hitterish. I spent a lot of time in my life pitching, and the first thing I would do when I got on the rubber is I would look for a weakness in that hitter. Was he real far from the plate? Were his hands in a real bad spot? Is there a pitch I can throw where I'm pretty much going to get this guy out every time? So what we want to do is we want to teach our kids a way to get in that batter's box that really minimizes any of those holes or weaknesses in their swing. And I'm going to really preface this by saying that a hitter has to be comfortable, but there's a default switch. And that default is where we want these guys to go back to when things aren't going well, or when you feel like maybe you just need to step in a little bit and get that guy in a better position in the box. Number one, when the kid puts the bat in his hands, the bat should be right around the bottom of the fingertips, okay? Big mistake a lot of kids make is they'll put the bat back in their palms and they'll squeeze it like they're trying to make juice out of it. Well, when Coach McCreary was talking about throw and he talked about keeping the wrist nice and loose, the same concept applies to hitting. If you have the bat more so in the bottom of the fingers and then close your hands around the bat that way, now my wrists are nice and loose, so when you're able to go through your swing and when Coach goes through the follow-through, you'll see how the wrists are able to roll over. This makes it a lot easier to swing the bat than putting it in the palms and being nice and stiff. The classic way to teach it is that if you were to knock on somebody's door, those door-knocking knuckles are what should end up being lined up when a kid puts the bat in his hands. And you can check that very easily before a guy even gets in the batter's box. Now, once we get in the batter's box, I'm going to show you, again, what we call the default stance and a good place for most hitters to start. If you're a right-handed hitter, I'm just going to demonstrate that. Now, obviously, for a lefty, everything's the opposite. What I want to see a hitter do is get that right foot in the batter's box and dig in. Okay? If I see our hitters digging in and I see them getting nice and low and nice and comfortable, I know that they're locked in like a bull ready to charge and they're hitterish. Okay? It's a kid that sort of meekly steps into the box like this and kind of shies away from the plate. That's the kid that doesn't look hitterish. I want our guys to own that plate. I'll tell our pitchers, that's your plate. But I'll tell our hitters, that's your plate. All right? And when a guy gets in the box, that's his mentality. This is my plate, and if you're going to come to this part of the plate, you're going to have to beat me. And I'm not going to give you very many opportunities to do it. So the first thing we want to do is get that back foot, dig it in, and here's the position where we want it. If this bat right here represents the line of the batter's box, we want to teach our kids from a young age to get comfortable getting that back foot right up near that line. I'm going to tell you why in a second. Obviously, kids are afraid of the ball, especially at a young age, and they're going to want to stand further from the plate. But if they dig in with that back foot close to the line, and then they put their front foot just a little bit open, not out here like Bautista, all right, but just a little bit like this, it's going to give them the ability to hit a lot of pitches, all right, which we'll show you in a second. So if you look at two guys that are good for this, if you want to look at Phillies games, Jimmy Rollins and Chase Utley, both have that slightly open stance where their back foot gets right up on the line. I actually heard Phillies rain delay a couple years ago. Charlie Manuel was talking about Jim Thome, and he said that one of the biggest adjustments that he made with Thome when they were with the Indians was that he took Thome from being more like this in his stance to more like this. And what it allowed Thome to do was really get the hips through with his swing. So he was able to drive the balls in the inside pitch to the opposite field and at the same time still stay back and hit the pitches in the outside corner, helped him use the whole field, helped him become a lot better hitter, and it gave him a lot more power to the middle part of the field. That's kind of what we're going for. All right, number one, if our hips are a little bit open, we're going to be able to get out and get the inside pitch, okay? But the other thing we're going to do is with our hips slightly open and our back foot right on the line, if I get a pitch on the outside corner, boom, that thing is right in the sweet spot of my bat. So I can get the outside pitch, but I also have the ability, because I'm a little open, to pop those hips and get my hands out in front and hit the inside pitch as well. So it gives me the ability to hit more pitches in more parts of the zone, all right? When we're in that stance, again, our nose is sniffing home plate. I don't like to see kids get back here with their upper body. The further they come from the plate, the further they are from the baseball. I like to see them sniff that plate and dig in and get right on top of home plate. All right, now, when kids are afraid of the ball, one of the best drills, and I think you can do this with a tennis ball, you can do it with a racquetball. If you don't like the kid, you can do it with a baseball. But have that kid get in the stance and just teach them to take pitches right in their back. All right, that'll get them more comfortable standing close to the plate. If they know that when they take a pitch, they take it this way. Their tendency will be to open up this way and expose the front part of their body, but if they learn that a pitch coming at them will hurt a lot less in the meat of their back and they can get in the habit of doing that, they'll feel more comfortable being a little closer to the plate and having their nose a little bit more on top of the plate. So that's where our lower body is, that's where our hips are, and that's where we're standing and digging in with our back foot. Now in terms of the hands, okay, simplest place to put the hands in the stance is to simply do this. Have players take the bat, rest it on their shoulder, and then lift. This is the most basic position for the start of the swing. We want a short, compact swing. We want the bat to have to travel as short as possible to the point of contact. So if the bat goes here, all it has to do now is come to the plate and through the plate. It's a short, compact swing right to contact. One of the things that a lot of kids will do is they'll get the bat up here like this. Now what happens if the bat starts like this is the first thing that it's going to do when that swing begins is it's going to go this way. All right, and if the bat starts here and now it has to go here and then it has to come through the zone, it just took probably almost twice as long to get the bat head through the zone. And if a guy comes in with a little bit more, that's my word for velocity, just a little more, when that bat head comes through, the ball's already on them. And now they can't get the bat out in front and they end up getting jammed in here. A lot of kids that are hitting a lot of fly balls to right field and center field, a lot of times they're coming through the swing plane like this. Take a look at their bat and try to flatten it out. Now the swing is a lot more simple, all right, from here to here. A lot of guys will say, it doesn't really matter, you know, where a hitter's hands start. They can start here. Eric Davis for the Reds used to start down here. Mickey Tettleton used to start right here. There's a couple names from the past, right? Up here, here. Well, I don't really like to tell kids it doesn't matter where they start because my fear is, especially at a young age, that if their hands are all over the place, they're not going to be able to get right here when they start their swing. But if they can start with their hands right up off the back shoulder just like this, now we know they're going to be there because they're already there. And then when they swing, it's just right to contact, okay? So in terms of feet-hand stance, once again, back foot digs in, nice and close to the plate. I like a little open on the front side. The bat resting in the bottom part of the fingers, not back in the palms. Knuckles lined up. Back to the shoulder, right up, nose right on top of the plate. And now if I see a guy standing in a stance that's kind of like this, nice, comfortable, good athletic position, good wide base, just like the pyramid. If I see a guy like this, there are very few places that I can pitch him where there's going to be a hole in his swing because it's good plate coverage, it's good balance, and it's a hitter that's digging in, balanced, and looking hitterish, looking explosive and ready to attack the ball once it comes into the zone. And he can get every one of these pitches with the proper mechanics, which Coach McCreary is going to talk about next.